Welcome to the 12th episode of the Daft Previews podcast. In this episode, we preview Game 3 of State of Origin and Round 18 of the NRL. My name is Hector, and I'm joined by my co-host, Lycus. How you doing, brother?
Good mates, surviving lockdown one day at a time.
Fucking getting through it. My wife's sick of me, but I'm still alive. So getting through it. A couple more weeks to go.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Let's see how things go. We've got a real massive potty for you all. State of Origin plus 8 full games. We've got a lot to get through, so we'll dive straight into the first headline I wanted to discuss, and that is all clubs have relocated to southeast Queensland to keep the competition alive. Andrew Abdo, he's made a statement saying that there's a chance that they could stay there for the rest of the season. How do you think that impacts the competition? Is anyone disadvantaged by this?
I think a lot of teams will be disadvantaged. I think the advantage teams where this will be obviously a Melbourne Storm, who's still going to play in Melbourne.
Yep.
So they've just it's just a dream run for them, whereas they're pretty much their main opposition are all Sydney-based teams who are now based in Queensland. A team like Penrith haven't lost at Panthers Stadium in a year and a half, so they're going to obviously not enjoy playing at Suncorp just about every week now, where they historically haven't been the greatest team. I think it's not going to benefit those teams, but it's what we've got to do is get the competition going. I think pausing it's not going to be any good. I think we've got to learn to adapt and move. So
stick and move, baby, stick and move. I think what it does mean though is it's going to be a lot more entertaining football. You're going to have dry tracks every single week.
Yeah. Well, or you're either going to have every game dry or every game wet. It's not going to be a windy day. It's going to be every game's going to have similar weather conditions. So it'd be good for the punters out there if there's a big monsoon coming through Queensland, then just start loading up on unders on every single game.
You know it. Talking about the punters, we're going to get straight into some betting. But first, let's introduce our sponsor for this week. You've been yet to pick one. Who do you think is sponsoring the show this week?
I'm going to go with an alcoholic beverage.
Is that because I'm pissed?
Yes, scotch. Some form of scotch. Am I right, or?
No, not even close.
Oh.
Today's sponsor for this episode is Gamble Aware. So Gamble Aware providers is a free, confidential service that assists anyone in New South Wales that is affected by gambling. Information, support, and counselling services can be accessed by phone, online, and face-to-face across New South Wales. All services are free and confidential. Phone 1-800-858-858 or head to gambleaware.newsouthwales.gov.au.
There you go.
Bet you didn't see that one coming.
No, I didn't. I'm a bit surprised after what we're about to talk about for the next hour. So
they've blocked my number. I've called them too many times asking for tips. So they're not very aware of any gambling loopholes, just how to get you to stop. So I'm not about that life. We've got a big game coming up real soon. It's Game 3 of State of Origin. Probably one of the least exciting State of Origin games you will ever see. Can you think of a time where you least look forward to a State of Origin game?
No, not maybe when I was younger, when New South Wales were doing well then, but this is even of all Queensland's dominance, still Game 3s, even though there were a couple dead rubbers in there, they still were exciting because New South Wales had a very competitive team still, and there was always the playing for everything still on the line. Whereas you get the sense it's not.
Yeah, I know. Like even when Queensland were dominant, New South Wales had some great teams.
Yeah.
They just didn't have better players in the key positions. Like you had blokes like Minicello, like one of the best fullbacks ever, but Billy Slater was there.
Yeah, Jared Hayne. I know he's been a bit of a troublemaker, but unbelievable at end of Danny Badiris' career as well. Cam Smith starting up. Just two different generations and the crossover, and that's where they were still really good games though.
I know. Well, I guess the best part about it is that you get to watch football on a Wednesday.
That's true.
Like and we're not disadvantaged by having 4 games on for the round. So we get 9 different games to punt on this week, which I'm very aroused by. But looking at State of Origin, the Blues, very different looking team. Nathan Cleary's shoulders out, Jerome Luai's knees fucked, which brings Moses and Wyden in. So that's a very interesting combo.
Very.
Api Coruscant, he's wearing the 14, so with the utility. Saifides, his ribs are fucked. So Dal Finucane's been promoted to the starting side, and he's been named vice captain. So that's pretty interesting. Jai Arrow got a little bit freaky over the last week, and he's been suspended for Game 3 for breaching COVID-19 protocols by bringing an unregistered guest into Maroons camp.
Got to register him.
You got to register him first, mate.
Always got to register him.
In other good news for Queensland, David Fifita, he's suspended after his chest bump. It was late, but it was all chest. But he's out for this game, but playing on the weekend, which means my man, fucking Flegler, gets an Origin debut. He shouldn't even be starting for the Broncos, and now he's playing State of Origin. But in good news, AJ Brimson's back, so there's a bit of energy. Ben Hunt, he's starting at number 9. Kalen Ponga's back, and the Hammer making his debut in the centres. So
it's honestly Paul Green looking after his Cowboys mates, though, eh?
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised Gavin Cooper's not playing in this game.
So am I.
But that's how they line up. So Queensland opting for more attack. New South Wales, look, can't tell you what they're doing, but gun side, but you just chuck Moses in. The line on this one is the shortest. Is this the shortest line we've seen all series? Or was game one shorter?
Game one was a very similar line. It might have been 12.5 or 10. It wasn't. It was double digits, but it was low. The first one.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was.
Well, this one is.
I think it actually was only 7.5.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is 11.5, and after the thrashings that New South Wales provided, I'm not so surprised that it's only 11.5, considering that you're missing you're winning 7 and 6. But let's talk through how we think this is going to go, what your multi is on this one, so we can get on nice and early while the odds are juicy, and then we'll get into the round of NRL. So how do you think State of Origin goes? Third game in Queensland.
3 in Queensland, and that's what I'm leaning. I think, as weird as it sounds, historically we talk about clean sweep in the very rare in State of Origin, and if there's ever a narrative for State of Origin, it is that Queensland are the underdogs, and Queensland need to be doing okay for Origin to be alive. And I'm going on that method. I am actually taking Queensland with the line. I think
ambush.
I think ambush, but I also think Moses has not played a big game in a big game. Like, has not played a good game. Has never stepped up. Like, even the other week against Penrith, that was his chance to put his hand up and own the game. They still got beaten. They got beaten by a Penrith team without Cleary and Luai getting injured. There's question Whiten. I've not seen Whiten do anything all year. The Canberra's best game has been without Whiten.
That's true.
Huge question marks over the halves. And I think if you compare the halves, Munster and DCE are miles better than them. Obviously, they've got the edge in the back line otherwise with their wingers and fullbacks. But Kalen Ponga back there is a massive in this series and push Val Holmes to the wing. That's a much stacked Queensland backline. I know the Hammers there on debut, but that's the best backline Queensland have come up with all series. Plus, New South Wales halves have been pretty much depleted. Forward pack, I don't think Saifidi's a big out. I know Finucane is a good player, but I don't think he's a prop. I think that's, Capewell moving to the second row, that's huge as well. So I think this is honestly the best Queensland team I've seen. I reckon even last year's Queensland team wasn't this good. They won it. Like Branko Lee.
Yeah, they just played better.
They just played better. Like, I think this Queensland team's better, and I think New South Wales, they seem that they're enjoying it. They're kicking back and enjoying it. Addo Carr's just pranking everyone when they go on TV and they're doing the media appearances and stuff. So they're definitely enjoying it. I think this could be a chance for a Queensland upset here. So taking them with the line, taking the 11.5. Also, Mitch Moses can't kick in big games or big moments, as you saw at Penrith the other night, as you saw against South Sydney last year, that he chokes in the big games. So if there's a big kick coming up, he ain't nailing it. But in terms of same game multi, I think I honestly feel just going Queensland straight into a couple Queensland try scorers. So Val Holmes and Kalen Ponga at 12.50 is absolute money.
Ooh,
If you want to juice it up, chuck in Tommy Turbo, who always scores, at $27.
fuck me.
Yeah.
That's pretty juicy. Believe it or not, and I haven't even shown you this. The odds that I've worked out for my multi is $12.50 as well.
There you go.
I obviously want Queensland to win this game. I originally backed them to cover the line. Then I looked deeper into the lineups and I threw up on myself as I was reading through the names on the Queensland bench. AJ Brimson, Fodawaker, Francis Molo, and Thomas Flegler against Coruscant, Angus Crichton, Payne Haas, and Liam Martin. Like, I was like, this might be competitive for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
there's definitely an edge.
If there's an edge, it's the bench.
After 20 to 30 minutes, Kristen Welsh is going to be on there, and Papali'i probably won't be on there. Like, he might go 80 minutes, Papali'i, but fucking hell, it's going to be rough when Fodawaker and Molo are on there at the same time, backed up by big Tommy Flegler and big left foot step.
Yeah, it's true.
He's got a negative PCM, you know that? Flegler. Never made a post-contact meter in his life. He moonwalks. He makes contact and moonwalks. Yeah, but he's light-footed, so by the time he makes contact, he doesn't have a stable base. He's going to get dragged back all day. But yeah, I like Queensland's team. I don't like their bench, but the backline definitely built for some points.
Yeah.
So what I've gone for this same game multi is I'm avoiding a win because New South Wales to win is too short, and I could smell it. There's a scent of an ambush where Queensland could get the win here. So I'm avoiding the winner altogether. I've gone Tommy Turbo to score because why the fuck wouldn't he? He's the greatest player going around these days. I've got Val Holmes, one of the best state of origin wingers you're ever going to find. One of the worst state of origin fullbacks you can pick. I've gone Queensland over 11.5 points because surely they're good enough to score twice. And I've gone under 46.5 points. Nice. Without those halves for New South Wales, I can definitely see them winning, but I can't see them scoring 40 points, 30, 40 points on Queensland, but I can't see Queensland scoring over 20. I think it's going to be a fucking dirty grub of a game.
Yeah. The big honest question marks that kicking game in New South Wales. Whiten loves kicking out on the full. We've seen that. And Moses' kicking game is very pedestrian. It is just kick it up in the air, kick to the corner. It's one thing that Cleary has.
He just big kicks. He's not very tactical. He just kicks as hard as he can.
And you look at some of the plays last game where Cleary was putting kicks in from 30, 40 metres out and they're getting restarts off it, putting players in the in goal and putting constant pressure on Coates. And that's been a big difference this series is Cleary's kicking game. So,
yeah. Well, it's going to be a good match. We'll share this on Facebook. We'll share the tips on Discord as well. But we have a shitload of games to get through. Let's get straight into it, baby. All games will be in Queensland. So not much travelling for them to do over the next month, huh?
No.
Kicking it off. What day does this kick off on? Friday. We got a double header on Friday?
Yeah, so Friday. It's at the moment it's a double header Friday. They've got
double header Friday.
There's a late game on Sunday instead, so it's 3 Sunday.
Okay. Well, both games on Friday will be played at Seabus Super Stadium. The first one at 6 p.m. is the Gold Coast Titans versus the Parramatta Eels. Now, I'm not going to go through the team list for every single team, as we know that these can change, but mostly all the Origin players have been named. But based on what you know, I need a bet close to $2, and I need somebody to score. Who do you have in this one? Parramatta versus Gold Coast.
Yeah, so I'm basing all this on assuming most will back up. There might be, obviously, the injuries will be different, but provided they're 90% full strength and Moses doesn't get injured or something like that, I think Para handicap is the absolute go-to play here. The line is way too short at 5.5. I know the Titans of recent have been up and down.
You weren't impressed last week?
Nah, I can't say. I can't say football in the last couple of weeks has impressed me. Full stop. You know, yes, they got the bye win, but the week before that, they beat a Raiders team who have been shithouse. So again, you don't use Raiders as a form guide, and then you only have to think back a week before that and Manly put 50 odd points in them in one half of football. So yeah, I think Para. Specials here, they're coming off a lost Para as well, so Brad Arthur's had 2 weeks to think about it. Obviously, they're clinging on to the top 4 spot. There are still 4 points ahead, but a loss there and a Roosters win, and the Roosters start really catching up to them because they've got a way better run home, the Roosters, than Parramatta do as well. Parramatta play Penrith again, and I'm pretty sure they're going to play Melbourne again in the run-in. So I think this is a big win opportunity for Para, -5.5. Try scorers. By the way, my anytime try scorer, for the Origin game was Tommy Turbo, $1.80. Absolute jam. But I've gone King Gutho, $1.85. Should be fresh from that little week in the New South Wales camp, feeling confident about himself, feeling like he's back in football. He'll be backing up on the inside for a certain point for a try, just like Tommy Turbo did for about 1,000 of them against them there. So that's my pick. How do you say
That's a good pick. I fucking like that one. I'm also back in that 5.5. The Titans, quite an inconsistent bunch, and the Raiders are absolutely terrible. The Titans were pretty good, but the Raiders are absolutely shocking.
Yep.
Parramatta's form is also pretty good as well. They lost to Penrith by 1, but it's not like Parramatta were horrible. They just couldn't score, really, and their forwards couldn't get up. But this Titans team is nothing like that Penrith one. Parramatta at full strength. Reid Marnie's back as well. I like Para to cover that 5.5. They love a good dry track as well, Parramatta. So I've got Parramatta to cover that line, and with 8 rounds to go, and with me expecting to multi up all my try scorers, I'm just going to go safe with Micah Sevo to score. Okay. Reason being, he scores a fucking shit ton of tries. The Titans also give up 43% of their tries on that side. 48% of their tries on that side. And the Eels also love going down big Micah side of the field. They score like fucking 50% of their tries or something down there. So question, is Ferguson still playing? What's his go?
He's on the outer.
Talking about Parramatta wingers. What's he doing these days?
He's just completely on the outer. So, he's done basically.
He's done.
He can't, honestly, they've had injuries and he's still not getting picked. Gonski's, I don't know if he's just really fallen out with the club, but he's definitely leaving them. He's fit, as far as I know.
He's fit and he's fucked. He's gone. Yeah. The second game on Friday night is destined to be a bloodbath. It's the Manly Sea Eagles versus the depleted Dragons at 7:55. Preying on Tommy and DCE to back it up. Whereas the Dragons, who have they suspended? Dufty, Fulmiano, Kate Ellis. Who else is there?
Paul Vaughan, obviously, permanently suspended.
He's gone as well. So, yeah, Dragons, as shit as they are, they're fielding a weaker team than usual. There's got to be I'm assuming there's got to be cracks, right? If you're like the five blokes who didn't get invited to that, surely you're looking at these blokes like, you fuckers didn't invite me to the barbecue. I've got 3 bags on me ready to go.
Or did they?
Or did they? They may have been there. So a lot of question marks on this Dragons team, huh?
There is. There's a lot of questions because people just couldn't wrap their heads around 13 blokes and 1 woman being at a barbecue. So there's only 1 woman there. They go, no partners, no one else went, no, just the players. That was it. The wife was there too, but that was it. It was very,
Yeah, sure. Well, the line on this one's 18.5. And that line is completely dependent on Tom Trbojevic playing, because we got a taste of what Manly are like without him.
Yeah.
Fucking shocking again. But right now he's named to play, so the line is massive. How do you see this one going?
I'm backing him to play. Last time they played after Origin was the Friday 6 o'clock game, and he was the only one not to back up. So I think he plays this one, and on the back of what happened last week, how awful they are without him, and they need him. Whilst they are in terms of the ladder entrenched in the ladder pretty well. They're 20 points, they're 4 points in the ladder. But if they drop this game to the Dragons, which they shouldn't, but the Dragons are actually level with them on points, for and against not so much. But then you've got the Sharks who've got a winnable game, not so much the Knights, obviously, but just puts a little bit of pressure on them, on Des and the boys. So I'm going the -8.5. And little flashback, the last time Coach Anthony Griffin had an issue like this was Penrith 2017. Wonga Blake, Peter Hiku, Matt Moylan got on the piss after a game against Melbourne, broke curfew, so they had to get stood down, and they got beaten the following week. But it was only by 1 point to South, but South actually finished 12th that year. So that was a very average South team. That was, I believe, Madge's last year with them when they just went to absolute garbage before old Seabold took over in 2018 and then did well in 19 and then obviously went to Brisbane and lost them in 2020.
He did even better.
Yeah, so so they lost to a worse South team the week after. So I don't think Anthony Griffin.
So Hook loves the controversy. He gets upset with the blokes that have done the wrong thing and takes it out on everyone.
I think he's just not people rave on about him being old school. I just don't think he can, because he lost the Penrith job because
he's
he lost.
Just angry.
Yeah, lost the change room and it was toxic and everything. And this kind of stuff, like the 13 players, like I don't know, I can't blame the coach, but I don't know. It didn't happen last year, as far as we know. So I'm back and covering the 18.5. Try scorers. I'm just sticking with him again. If he's not playing, he's voided. It's Tommy Turbo $1.46. I don't want to get on Saab for that reason, in case they rule Tommy Turbo out, because then Saab will be playing without Tommy Turbo, and you get fucked on the pricing. So Tommy Turbo.
I like that. I'm also backing the Eagles to cover that line, 18.5. Closer mate of mine, big Dragons fan. Every single game that he's played, he'll send me a message telling me his desired outcome because it helps the Dragons. So anyone around the Dragons, he needs them to lose in order for his team to make the 8. Right. So I'm praying that the Dragons get absolutely walloped so I could message him back, saying, how's that for your for and against? But Manly, cover that line, -18.5. Anytime try scorer, Ola Kawatu. Doesn't need Turbo to score this bloke.
He's a big boy and an angry boy. I like him.
He's a big angry boy.
He is. He got very angry last week.
He's a very terrifying young man, let me tell you. And for $3.50, mate,
have a slice of that pie.
He's got that second row of juice. Like, I'm thinking of just running an anytime try scorer, picking 4 deadly second rows to get over. And it's going to happen. You get your Tilly in there. Ola Kawatu will chuck him in. He loves one. Who else is there? Oh, Viliami's not angry anymore. He's a teddy bear. But so big day for fighter, maybe. We'll see. Well, that's what I'm backing. Into the Super Saturday. This is also at Seabus Super Stadium. We've got the Canberra Faders versus the Cronulla Sharks. Sharks are the favourites in this one with a 3.5 line. The one thing I want you to consider is think about how rattled Sean Johnson was when he heard that he had to be moved.
Yeah, why was that?
So gutted.
He wanted it to go to New Zealand, and I was like, is that why he was gutted? Because he didn't go to NZ, which was never, consulted? Yeah,
I don't know. The NZ call he made a few hours after he found out. But I think he was gutted because I think his immediate thought was that he'd have to leave his family behind.
Yeah.
But then later he found out that you can take your family. So he might have recovered, who knows? Or he might be absolutely gutted that he's going to be away from them. But just factor that in. But please tell me you haven't gone Canberra to lose in the second half.
No, it's not a bad idea, actually. You think about it. No, I haven't. But I'm not picking Canberra either. I've gone the handicap for the Sharks -3.5. But you know what? It is not a bad thought. You could go second. I think the second half handy will probably be 1.5 or 2.5 max. If I do 2.5 handicap, 1.5. So if you're really feeling good, just do same game multi -1.5. But -3.5 I'm going for is Cronulla. I still, Raiders got a win, but they beat a Tommy Turbo-less Manly. So again, you can't count that as a form line. And it was just I don't know, maybe it was Origin, but those 4 games on the weekend I felt just were very below average quality games of football. There wasn't,
Yeah, that was shit.
there was nothing like Dylan Walker was scoring tries from running it himself, but then, I just did not really enjoy any of those games. But I think the Sharks get this one here. Um, I think they're just going to be that little bit classier. Whereas the Raiders, I still don't. No one's talking about them turning around their season on the back of Friday night. So yeah, that's my play there. In terms of anytime try scorers, he's scored a couple games in a row. It's Connor Tracy. I think you can get him for about 240 at the moment. Yeah,
237.
237. All right, 241 power play. He's my anytime.
That's bangers. I've actually got the exact same selections for very much the same reasons. The Sharks wingers don't score as much as they should.
No, they don't.
But that's because you've got centers who don't pass. Connor Tracy doesn't pass, and Jesse Ramian hasn't passed. Even when he's at dummy half, he runs it anyway. Like, he can't pass. Like, Katoa was a deadly try scorer when Ramian was out injured. He was a freak. He was scoring every single week. Now that Ramian's there, you got Norton. So I'm backing Connor Tracy as well, and also the Sharks cover the line. I'm completely off the Raiders. I'm also praying that they lose so the Broncos can eventually jump them in the table. Into the next game at 5:30. This one's at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Every fucking week I call that Country Back. It's the North Queensland Cowboys hosting the Roosters. All Origin players have been named. Someone else who's been named for the Cowboys is Tom Dearden. And a lot of people think, like, why the fuck would you mention that? He's named every week. And I'm emphasizing that because I've lost every fucking week he's been there.
Yeah, it's a good stat. It's a very good stat.
It's a great stat. But the line on this one, what's the line? Is it 19.5 on this one?
No, 18.5.
Oh, it's 8.5.
You're thinking of the next game, 19.5. Yeah, 8.5 Roosters.
Oh, shit. 8.5 for the Roosters. So the Roosters have been playing that well lately. Trent Robinson's aged quite a bit in the last few weeks. They got whooped by Melbourne, whooped by Penrith, barely got away from the Bulldogs. How do you see this one going?
I think this is going to be the best Roosters team that's run out in some time, because you had Victor back last week, but then you had Teddy and Crichton out as well. But then you get them back this week with Victor Radley there. His passing game will be very strong. I think they cover this. I think Cowboys are overachieving this year. I honestly do not think they should be even near where they are on the ladder. They just dish up average game after average game, and everyone's questioning Tamalolo. They should be honestly down below the Broncos, I feel.
We'll get them.
I think he will, honestly. Like, I think you're right about the Raiders too. I think the Raiders are on the slide. So yeah, I think they'll cover like 8.5. I think very short. I know they didn't hammer the Bulldogs, but they showed in patches that they were a classier team than the Bulldogs. In terms of try scorers, I've gone back. I know he's moved back into the centers, but I've gone Joey Manu at $2.40.
Fuck.
$2.40. Actually.
That's what I want as well. Big Joey. I didn't touch the line on this one because the Roosters just haven't been convincing. Their starting hooker is auditioning for. He's going to put his hand up for the next draft in the NFL with the amount of forward passes that this bloke does. Like, he's in the wrong sport.
Yeah, it's pretty bad the other night.
He got pinged for like 2 or 3, but he threw it like 5 or 6 times.
He threw some bigger ones than the ones he got called on.
Yeah, so, and he's still there. So Roosters are going to be keen as to play over the advantage line, which means more forward passes coming. I'd love to see a market on that. Forward passes thrown. It'd be like, realistically, it'd be like $2 or $3, right? They're less likely than a try scorer. But I would feast on this bloke. Tyson Gamble loves a forward pass as well, all the time.
It'd be, but the biggest worry, obviously why they don't, is obviously the Ryan Tandy incident years ago, and you could bet on first points being a penalty. If you knew that you're going to get paid for throwing a forward pass, it's not that hard to go, oopsie.
Sorry about it. Or look, it could be like the Cronulla game, throw it a metre forward and the rest don't call it. Like,
true.
Could be that as well. It could work against you. But I've gone the Roosters score 29.5 points just in case, because their defense hasn't been great this year. They're letting in a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, they drop the ball so much. Like the amount of errors, not just forward passes, just so many knock-ons. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 30-20 win, and 30-28. You never know. Like the Cowboys, they're pretty shit, to be honest, but anything can happen against the Roosters. They let the Bulldogs score 16 on them. They let one of the halves score twice. So I don't trust them to cover the line, but I do trust them to score more than 30 points. And I've also gone with Joey Manu to score a try because the wingers, they're such short odds, but they also don't warrant those odds. Both wingers are now they're scoring a try once every 2 games. Like it's not a great strike rate for a winger.
No, it's not.
Like I think Satili's played 14 games and he's got 6 tries, same as Angus Crichton. So they're almost at the same strike rate as the wingers, the second rowers. So bit of a stat attack that I wasn't thinking of bringing up, but it was in the front of my mind. The last game on Saturday evening is Melbourne Storm. This game's in Melbourne versus the Newcastle Knights. So Newcastle slowly coming back to full strength, starting to play better football. Junior's in there. Ponga's back. They're only missing Bradman Best by the looks of it. For Melbourne, Pappenhausen and Harry Grant, they're on ice, but they should be back next week. But at the same time, Melbourne's still fielding a team that could easily score 40 or 50 on anyone outside of Penrith. The line on this one is pretty fucking big. Am I right?
Yes, this is your 19.5 that you spoke about earlier.
This is your 19.5. All right. I didn't touch the line on this one, but talk me through your selections.
I did. I rubbed it, grinded it, thrusted it, mounted it, and wrote it. 19.5. Melbourne, they cover this. You're right about Newcastle are improving, but Melbourne are just another level at the moment. Until they hit a form slump or look like they're going to hit a form slump, I think just keep getting to cover these until these handicaps get to 30 or something, or 25, 26 against just about anyone but Penrith. I just need to keep hitting them until you can sense that the teams have figured them out or they're declining in form. I think if you hit the minus handicap Melbourne every game this year, I think every game you would have covered it except for the Penrith game, obviously, where I think they were outsiders anyway. But I think you would have covered that if you went Melbourne handy every week, I'm almost certain you'd be sweet. And Para, obviously, early in the year. But I think they'll cover it. Anytime try scorer is the cheese. He's on a mission for this try scoring. I don't know. He's breaking records. I'm
pretty sure he's broken it already.
There's most consecutive tries, games scored. He's chasing a record that wingers should be owning with fullbacks. So I think $2.30. I know it's short, but he'll have a crack.
Oh, he will. Newcastle, to their defence, pretty good defensive side. The issue with them is they can't score, but now that the 7 and the 1 are back, better chance. Jake Clifford's a good addition too. Big boot on the bloke.
Big kid.
But I've gone Melbourne over 33.5 points, just in case Newcastle find a way to sneak a few tries in. You don't know what type of form Kalen Ponga's going to be in. Plus, both Saifidi boys are going to be there. Tyson Frizzell's back. Like, they're pretty much full strength. So, Melbourne over 33.5 in 2. I've got the Fox to score 2 or more tries. He's in a battle at the moment with AJ. He's on 19 tries at the moment, the Fox. I reckon he scores 2 more easy, which means he probably won't score a try in State of Origin. So if you jump on State of Origin, you probably would have noticed both of us avoided Addo-Carr. I encourage you to do the same. Yep. Don't be one of those fuckwits on Facebook saying, oh, did the Fox fuck you as well? Because you fucked you by picking him.
Yep, exactly. Don't say we didn't tell you.
Don't say we didn't tell you. We've got a big couple of games on Sunday. I'm raging for this one.
I'm looking forward to Sunday. I'm looking forward to a Sunday rounds of footy then in a long time till this Sunday.
Yeah. Look, this is probably one of my least favorite games to punt on, but it'd be a good one to watch. It's the Warriors versus Penrith. This is at 150 at Suncorp Stadium. A nice dry track. Reece Walsh back at Suncorp, baby. So is Cody Nikorima. So is Sean O'Sullivan. So, so is Matt Lodge. Like there's Broncos all over the bloody competition. Like there's more Broncos in every team
There's the
except for
Broncos
Brisbane
team.
at the moment. Yeah, it's fucking off its head. When the Dragons versus Brisbane, the Dragons have more Broncos players. Um, but Panthers have named all Origin stars, but I guess the big notable mentions, you've got Matt Bird and Tyrone May in the halves. I don't know why we continue to see Tyrone May in the halves, but
He made his way in there last week when I wasn't even named in there. It was Luai and Bird.
just,
Second half, Bird's back in the centres. I'm like, oh, hang on, we need him for a field goal. Come out, take the field goal, get back in the centre. It's like, how does he? Tyrone May scored from centre as well, and he
I know.
gets himself in the halves. I don't know how he does it. He's very good at what he does. That's selling himself.
He's selling himself, all right. But what's the line on this one? Because I didn't touch it.
I've been all over. So it's 9.5.
It's 9.5. So I got the Warriors have a 9.5 start. I called this out last week. I said if the Warriors fuck me, I'm not touching them. So I'm touching them, but not with my bet. I'm touching them with my dick. But I'll talk to you about that after you tell me what you're going.
I'm yet to see a Penrith performance without Cleary that convinces me they're defensively sound, and it's weird that I'm taking a team that's won in their last 8 games, but I'm taking them with the handicap at plus 9.5. I think I can see this on this. I think one day soon Penrith will click with their halves and that team, but it's not going to be this week. Plus 9.5. I think it'll be a scrappy game, low scoring. Penrith's defense will be sound, but then we'll struggle to score points like they have every single week since Cleary got injured. So play 9.5. And anytime I've gone Reece Walsh, he's paying $2.50. I know again it's against Penrith, but if there's someone who's going to score, I know Dallin's up back against his old team and Roger, but they don't seem like scoring many tries through those guys. It's got to be through Reece Walsh somehow, whether he passes it or scores himself. So taking it 250.
I like that. Notable mention. A lot of people pick Roger to score a try. I looked into his try scoring record this year, and it fucking stinks like the cheese of your dick after 4 days without washing it. He scored 4 tries in 16 games this year, Roger.
Wow.
And he's played half of them on the wing.
Yeah, he's played a chunk on the wing. And a fullback got one, so it's not like he's playing a position which neglects try scorers. So
yeah.
Playing 2 positions where try scorers come from.
Reece Walsh has only played 8 games this year, and he's got 5 tries.
Yeah.
Ben Murdoch-Masila is the number 1 try scorer for the New Zealand Warriors this season. You know that?
That's crazy. Also, and most of Reece Walsh's tries come from the bench. Reece Walsh hasn't started every week when he first came in. He was coming off the bench a lot of it. I think it's Parry came on and scored.
Yeah. So, fuck, it's a little bit difficult to pick Warriors try scorers, but Reece Walsh is not a bad decision because he does have the best strike rate for him. I've got a similar premonition on how this game is going to go. I think it's going to be, I wouldn't say a bludger, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in it. Penrith's defense would be amazing, whereas the Warriors' attack has been pretty shit lately, to be honest. So I'm backing the Warriors to go under 18.5 points. If it was 17.5, I wouldn't have touched it, but 18.5 feels very safe to me.
Very good.
They could only put 2 tries on Cronulla last week, and I can assure you Penrith's defense is going to be much better than Cronulla's.
That's a very good pick.
So, yeah. So, the Warriors under, I was even going to look at Penrith the under. I think it was 26.5 for Penrith. Because I think Penrith can score less than 26 points and still win.
Yeah.
But because the Warriors fucked me, I'm going to fuck them back and curse them. Go the unders on the Warriors. With the try scorers, I've gone with Matt Burden at $2.80. I know he's playing in the halves, but he has scored a try playing in the halves anyway. The Penrith attack's been absolutely rubbish, so he's just decided to do it himself.
Yep.
Whereas the Warriors are quite soft up the middle as well. So you can see Matty Burton going over. Moving into the match of the round It's a massive game. Truly. One of the biggest games you're ever going to see. It is... What did you call this? The Battle of 15th or some shit? Like something really rude.
Battle for 14th, sorry. 14th.
It's a battle for 14th.
14 v 15. Provided there's a big score line, only 31 point win to the Broncos. That's battle for 14.
We'll make it happen. So it's the Brisbane Broncos versus the West Tigers. One team is clearly on the way up. One team is on the way down. If you looked at these teams and their forms, it looks a lot like that fucking super ad. One's going up, one's going down, baby. The Broncos, they're favourites for only the second time this year. They've got a strike rate of 100% as favourites after beating the Bulldogs 24-0. The Broncos haven't even conceded a try as favourites. That's how superior they are.
Good,
the line on this one's only 3.5, so I don't know what the bookies are doing here. But how do you see this one going?
See, earlier in the season, if you asked me, I used to say Broncos played their grand final. They'll get done next week, but they've done it a couple times this year now. So now it's got to be, boys. This is how many wins have you had this year? 3? Is it 3 wins?
5.
5. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Your 5th win, boys. Let's not do what we did the last 4 times and drop the next game. Like they've had this practice, and guess who we're playing? We're playing the shitty West Tigers, the round 13 premiers. Remember when they was like I was wrong about how good the Tigers were. They beat Penrith and rubbing in and going nuts, but yeah, they're coming 14th now. So I think this is the game, and I think the Broncos lineup has a bit of stability to it. I know they're punting players left, right, and center, but I like this lineup with Tony Staggs, man. He made a world of difference in that team. I like the setup of the team. I like the lineup. I don't like the Tigers. I'm a Panthers fan, so I just naturally hate the Tigers. And I think Madge Maguire is getting fierce pressure. I think 2 coaches who were very lucky that there was a St. George barbecue or Ricky Stewart and Madge Maguire, because it's a coin flip to which one is going to get sacked first out of those 2. So I'm taking the -3.5. Anytime try scorers, as I just touched on, Tony Staggs, he's killing it for you guys. On and off the field, he's always been quality, I feel, and I feel like he's owed his dues. So, $1.74, get on the Catonis.
I'm on the exact same selections for the exact same reasons.
That's right.
Broncos just absolutely dominant. The Catoni effect is real. He's basically the Tom Turbo of Brisbane. He's just got thicker quads, a deeper stash, and a foot fetish. But I'm looking at the Broncos to cover the line. While you're talking about the coaches who are under pressure, all I was thinking about was these two are some of the angriest motherfuckers going.
Yeah,
they are so angry trying to replicate what Bellyache does, but behind closed doors, Bellyache's a cuddly bear, whereas these guys are angry all the time.
That's true.
So, and that anger doesn't go well in Brisbane. We're a happy place. Kevy Walters giggling all the time. Alfie's dancing on tables. Lockyer's slipping behind bars. We're a free town. You can't be angry in Brisbane and find success. And the Tigers and Madge Maguire being angry around Suncorp.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. Look what happened to Gordon Tallis. He's outlawed. He's outlawed. He's gone. He got too angry. He's out of there. Yeah. Jack Bird, he's an angry fella. He's gone. Matt Lodge, he's angry. You've seen what he could do when he's pissed.
He's very angry. Gone. In America in particular, apartments just don't. He doesn't like it over there.
Hates them.
Don't blame him.
And rumor has it, Reece Walsh, very angry bloke, but you just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I think we will soon.
Well, you saw the elbow, right? You saw the elbow throw? Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't.
These angry bastards. Sam Walker, secretly angry. So we've got a strategy.
He runs the other way when he gets angry, I found.
Yep.
So he was very angry.
Extremely, but it feels a lot safer knowing that you're in the same direction. So
this is a very odd feeling that we're both on the Broncos here. A bit nervous, I must say.
Nah, you shouldn't be, mate. I was 100% on my line bets last week, boy.
Yeah, and I wasn't.
Last game on Sunday. Normally played in ANZ. We've got the Rabbitohs versus the Bulldogs. The line on this one's as big as my credit card debt. 26.5 points. Fucking massive. Rabbitohs extremely strong lineup that I'm looking up right here. Whereas Bulldogs, they've named the same 17 that took on the Roosters last week. As a Bulldogs fan, like I felt before I looked into this, I felt like the Bulldogs had won. Like there's just
Yeah.
this winning feeling around Canterbury, and looking into it, they lost to the Roosters by 6, but it feels like they won. Like
Yeah,
they fucked my bet.
I
But
think they fucked a lot of people's bets.
yeah, but there's this winning feeling around the Bulldogs. Joe Stimson's still playing. I don't know how. But there's some magic in the air. A bit of Lachlan Lewis stuff. But how do you see this one going?
I see that 26.5. I think that's too big. So I'm jumping all over that. I think there's got to be some credit due to that Roosters game. Like I know we said earlier, the Roosters didn't play their best, but Dogs showed up and they had a crack, which they've historically always done. And you apply that 26.5 points line for most this season. Yes, Manly pumped them, but they've covered it. Para, they would have covered it. St George obviously covered it. Penrith would have covered it. Titans would have covered it. Canberra and Souths go in and out of games at the moment. They're not an 80-minute team. Maybe Bennett's building them up for the finals, so they'll start peaking in 3-4 weeks' time. But I'm taking the plus 26.5. I think it's a healthy spot to start, especially if South starts slow. At least you've got that 26.5 to play with. And in terms of try scorers, I've actually gone pretty safe here.
Coward.
Tane Mill. So if I'm on the perfect round, I'm cheering for Mill to. I could have gone to go Johnston, but yeah, $1.46, very short. I know. How do you say
Nothing
it?
wrong with that, as long as you bang them all. I see it the same way. Souths is such a dangerous team to play against because they've got that some free flow of football, but that also means that they're quite error prone. I reminisce back to the game against the Tigers. They're up by like 24. I needed them to cover a 20.5 line. Couple of errors, let the Tigers back into the game. They still won by 16, so they were fucking happy as Larry. But they only played for 60 minutes in that game, and I can see something similar happening here with the Bulldogs. It's either they get out to a nice lead early and they let the Bulldogs back into it, or they play the Bulldogs way, keep it close, pack on the tries late in the game to really seal it, probably by a 2 or 3 try margin. But I like Bulldogs covering that 26.5. Lachlan Lewis, brilliant last week. Jake Averillo's been good for the last month. It looks like they're settled on Meaney being the fullback. He seems like he's going all right. He seems happy. Jack Hetherington has been suspended for a while. Like, it's all happening at the moment. So I think Bulldogs will lose by 20 is my assumption, but definitely I think they'll cover that line. My try scorers, I've gone back looking at the try scoring race. I've got the Fox for 2. I've also got AJ to score 2 tries.
Okay.
Cody Walker got 5 tries this last week. He'll probably get 3 or 4 in this one. He knows if you pass it to Gagai, Gagai's not going to score. So it's a cutout ball to Johnson all day, baby.
Works.
So I got him at $2.20. Score 2 or more tries.
Nice.
So I guess that wraps up the preview of the round and State of Origin. We'll share all of our selections on Discord and also on the Facebook page. Any last words?
No. Yeah, just like, share, subscribe, usual jazz. Any feedback, send it through. We want to grow this podcast. So, yeah, we want any bit of feedback, no matter how shit it is, let's hear it.
You know it. And one final plug for our sponsor, gamblerware.newsouthwales.gov.au, phone 1-800-858-858. It's a free confidential service that assists anyone in New South Wales that is affected by gambling. Get into it, baby.